Spiritually chosen men often sense their difference long before they can put words to it. Even in childhood or early youth, there is a quiet awareness that they do not fully fit into the world around them. While others are easily absorbed into social groups, trends, or collective excitement, these men feel slightly removed, as if they are observing life from a deeper place. This does not come from superiority or detachment, but from an inner sensitivity that perceives more than what is spoken on the surface. They often notice that conversations feel shallow, even when they are friendly. Small talk drains them. Noise overwhelms them. Crowded environments feel heavy rather than energizing. They may try to adapt at first, forcing themselves to blend in, to laugh at what others laugh at, to want what others want. But this effort never lasts. Something inside them resists living in a way that feels false. Over time, they realize that pretending to belong costs them more energy than standing alone. This sense of difference creates confusion. Spiritually chosen men may question themselves, wondering if something is wrong with them. They may believe they are antisocial, broken, or emotionally distant. In truth, they are simply wired for depth. Their inner world is rich, reflective, and intuitive. They feel things strongly even if they do not always express them outwardly. Because of this depth, superficial connection feels empty, and forced social roles feel suffocating. Walking alone is rarely a conscious decision at first. It happens gradually. Invitations are declined, friendships fade, relationships fall apart, not through conflict, but through misalignment. These men often find that people drift away when they stop performing or agreeing just to maintain harmony. When they choose honesty over approval, solitude naturally follows. There is also a strong inner pull towards silence. Spiritually chosen men need space to process life internally. Solitude allows their thoughts to settle and their intuition to speak clearly. When they are alone, they feel closer to themselves. This closeness is not loneliness, it is familiarity. In silence, they feel aligned. In crowds, they often feel fragmented. Many of these men feel misunderstood rather than rejected. They are not closed off, but selective. They crave meaningful connection, not constant interaction. When they cannot find depth, they choose distance. This choice is often misinterpreted by others as arrogance, coldness, or emotional unavailability. In reality, it is an act of self-preservation. Walking alone in this early stage is not yet seen as a gift. It feels heavy. There may be moments of doubt, longing, and quiet sadness. But beneath these emotions is a subtle knowing, a sense that this path, however isolating, is necessary. Spiritually chosen men walk alone not because they fear connection, but because their inner truth will not allow them to live a life that feels shallow or borrowed. As spiritually chosen men grow older, their awareness deepens and their inner clarity becomes sharper. With this clarity comes the ability to see through illusions that most people unconsciously accept. They begin to notice the superficiality in everyday interactions, the shallow ambitions, the empty social performances, the hidden insecurities that drive people's actions. While others chase validation through status, approval, or material success, these men observe the patterns without participating in them. They see life beneath the surface, where intentions, motives, and authenticity matter more than appearances. And this perspective gradually sets them apart from the crowd. This clarity naturally creates distance. Ordinary conversations begin to feel hollow. Small talk, gossip, and forced humor no longer hold their attention. Many relationships start to feel performative, like a dance of obligations rather than true connection. Spiritually chosen men cannot ignore this truth. They are compelled by their inner awareness to seek meaning and authenticity in every interaction. This often means stepping back from people whose energy or intentions feel misaligned with their own. In social settings, they may appear withdrawn, contemplative, or detached, but it is a conscious choice rooted in discernment, not in difference. Their honesty toward themselves also shapes their relationships. They cannot pretend to be something they are not. If a friendship, partnership, or professional bond requires compromise of their inner truth, they will eventually release it. This honesty can be misunderstood by others as aloofness, arrogance, or emotional unavailability. In reality, it is a form of self-respect. Spiritually chosen men have learned that false alignment, trying to fit into someone else's expectations, comes at the cost of energy, clarity, and peace of mind. By walking away from inauthentic relationships, they protect their inner world and maintain alignment with their higher purpose. Isolation is not always easy. There is often a subtle tension between their desire for connection and their need for solitude. They may long for companionship that resonates with their depth, but feel frustrated by the scarcity of people who can meet them at that level. Many spiritually chosen men experience periods of loneliness, moments when the weight of their awareness makes ordinary social interaction feel exhausting or meaningless. Yet these periods of solitude are essential. They serve as a crucible in which their character, intuition, and resilience are refined. Distance from the crowd also brings freedom. Spiritually chosen men are no lawn. They are swayed by the opinions, expectations, or judgments of others. They live by their own values and insights, guided by inner wisdom rather than external validation. While others are busy following trends or seeking approval, these men remain quiet observers of life, attuned to subtler truths. This freedom may appear isolating from the outside, but for them, it is a necessary step in cultivating self-mastery and spiritual growth. Ultimately, the distance they experience is not rejection, it is alignment. Spiritually chosen men are drawn towards solitude because it allows them to maintain authenticity, clarity, and integrity in a world that often rewards conformity. Walking alone is not a sign of failure. It is a reflection of their evolving consciousness, a natural consequence of seeing life as it truly is, rather than as it appears on the surface. In choosing depth over comfort, they lay the foundation for a life that is both purposeful and profoundly free. Solitude, for spiritually chosen men, becomes much more than just being physically alone. It is a training ground for the inner self, a space where they can confront life without distraction. Walking alone forces them to face the depths of their own consciousness, to meet the shadows they might otherwise avoid, and to confront patterns of fear, ego, and attachment head-on. While many people seek comfort in company, noise, or external validation, spiritually chosen men learn to embrace the stillness of their inner world. It is in this silence that true growth begins. Old wounds inevitably surface during this period. Pain, disappointment, and unhealed emotional scars rise to the surface because there is no external distraction to suppress them. Instead of avoiding these emotions, spiritually chosen men are compelled to observe and understand them. This process is often uncomfortable, even painful, but it is essential for their development. The more they allow themselves to experience their inner landscape without judgment, the more resilient and centered they become. Each period of discomfort becomes a lesson in endurance, self-awareness, and clarity. Ego patterns are tested and gradually dismantled in solitude. When surrounded by people, the ego often finds ways to assert itself through comparison, pride, or the need for recognition. Alone, these patterns are exposed and challenged. Spiritually chosen men learn to witness their own thoughts and reactions objectively. They discover the difference between authentic self-expression and ego-driven behavior. This awareness allows them to respond to life with greater wisdom rather than reacting impulsively. Solitude, therefore, becomes a catalyst for the refinement of character and consciousness. Fear and doubt are also confronted directly. When walking alone, the mind often generates anxiety about the future, insecurity about one's path, or hesitation in decision-making. Instead of suppressing these fears, with distractions or social validation, spiritually chosen men sit with them. They learn that fear is temporary and that clarity arises when it is observed without attachment. Doubt becomes an instrument of insight, guiding them toward deeper self-knowledge rather than away from it. Walking alone also cultivates a profound sense of presence. Without constant social interaction or noise, every thought, sensation, and emotion becomes more vivid. Spiritually chosen men begin to notice subtle energies, patterns in life, and the rhythms of their own consciousness. This heightened presence enhances their intuition, creativity, and understanding of the world. Life is no longer experienced superficially, but with a depth that most people never achieve. Solitude sharpens their perception and aligns them with higher truths. Resilience is another gift of this solitary path. Life's challenges, when faced alone, cannot be avoided or diluted by external support. Spiritually chosen men learn to rely on their own inner strength. They discover that the self can endure, adapt, and thrive even in isolation. This resilience not only prepares them for personal challenges, but also strengthens their capacity to guide, inspire, or support others in the future. Ultimately, solitude transforms walking alone from a trial into a sacred practice. It is not mere isolation or loneliness. It is intentional space for growth, insight, and self-mastery. Spiritually chosen men walk alone because it is necessary to cultivate inner strength, refine awareness, and awaken fully to their higher purpose. Their solitude is a forge in which clarity, presence, and wisdom are tempered, preparing them for a life that is both authentic and profoundly impactful. Eventually, spiritually chosen men come to understand that walking alone is not a punishment, a failure, or a sign of being unloved. It is preparation. Solitude, once heavy and uncomfortable, becomes recognized as a gift, a space where character, wisdom, and presence are cultivated. Through the challenges of isolation, they develop a deeper understanding of themselves and the world around them. The lessons learned in solitude cannot be taught, borrowed, or rushed. They are earned through experience, reflection, and conscious endurance. Walking alone shapes them into men who can stand firm in their truth without relying on the approval or presence of others. This understanding brings a profound sense of freedom. Spiritually chosen men no longer seek validation from social groups, peers, or popular opinion. The need for external approval fades because they have learned to rely on an inner compass. They walk alone, not because they reject connection, but because they are learning to walk ali, Ned, with their higher purpose. This alignment is rare in a world that rewards conformity, and it requires courage. The freedom of solitude allows them to move through life authentically, guided by inner truth rather than the transient expectations of society. As they continue to walk alone, their inner strength grows. Challenges that would destabilize others are met with resilience, patience, and clarity. The solitude that once felt heavy now feels empowering. They learn to face uncertainty without fear, to sit with discomfort without avoidance, and to remain present even when the world around them is chaotic. This strength is not physical but deeply spiritual, a quiet confidence born from self-mastery, awareness, and intimate knowledge of their own mind and heart. It is this strength that later allows them to engage with others from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. Wisdom emerges naturally from this solitary path. Spiritually chosen men develop discernment in all areas of life, relationships, work, and purpose. They learn to recognize patterns, understand human behavior, and see situations with clarity that comes from observation rather than impulse. Walking alone hones intuition, teaching them to trust their inner voice over popular opinion. Decisions become guided by insight and alignment with purpose rather than pressure or expectation. In essence, Solitude allows them to cultivate a life of intentionality, where every action is conscious, deliberate, and authentic. Solitude also deepens empathy and compassion. Having walked alone, spiritually chosen men understand suffering, isolation, and the silent struggles of life in a way that others often cannot. They do not reject connection. They value it more because they approach it from wholeness. Their interactions are not driven by fear, dependency, or need for validation, but by a genuine desire for meaning, full engagement. They bring presence, wisdom, and calm to relationships, which often inspires or elevates those around them. Ultimately, walking alone is a sacred process of transformation. It is a journey of preparation, refinement, and awakening. Spiritually chosen men are shaped away from the crowd so that when they finally connect with others, it is not from emptiness, dependence, or fear, but from strength, clarity, and authenticity. Solitude is never abandonment. It is guidance, a path that leads to wisdom, resilience, and a life lived fully aligned with purpose. The men who walk alone walk intentionally, carrying the quiet power of those who have learned to stand strong, not because the world needs them to, but because they have chosen to.